Well, this is our final lecture in the whole course, and just summarizing a lot of the concepts that we've learned, as well as looking at how much money could you throw towards marketing and advertising. Uh, if you go to your files, the teaching notes are right here, and basically, I mean, we talked about this in the last lecture, that you want to make sure that all of your customer touch points, all the materials and things like truck wraps and uniforms and your website, the logo, colors, font styles are all cohesive, they're all consistent, and they work together to build a brand. That's what you want. You want to build a brand. And so these customer-facing materials need to be connected. Your website should be present on all materials. Your logo should be present on all materials. Those are the key concepts, and this is pretty obvious. If you see good businesses versus bad businesses, and you compare the marketing of the two, usually you'll find that ones that don't do good marketing are haphazard. You see the logo over here, but then you see their vision and their values and their mission statement, but they don't live up to it over there. So you want to have all of that consistent. So and since we've covered most of that in a previous lecture, let's move on to a marketing budget, especially since this is in your final project of building a budget. And there's a lot of things in marketing. There's location. Location is part of your marketing, and the building and the type of building and all that. Packaging. If your product has a certain kind of packaging, that reminds the customer and it presents an elevated value, a perceived value that wouldn't be there without the package. You could have the same product. Vehicle wraps, sales literature, uniforms for your employees. Those are all things that are part of marketing, but we're not going to go into that directly here. We're going to just talk about paid advertising and what does that look like, and what are some costs that a typical startup business could incur or expect to incur when doing those. So going into internet, we talked about pay-per-click advertising. This is just one campaign within many campaigns of the Reno International House. And so what's great about nowadays is that you can define budgets ahead of time. You can set how much money you want to spend, especially in digital marketing. And so we can see here that certain keywords have a cost over time. And we can then build a budget around that. We can see where are we advertising, and we can focus and limit the budgets to certain times of the day, certain demographics, and of course keywords. We can allocate that towards banner ads or pay-per-click ads or display ads. There's all kinds of things that you have the power to do that marketers 20 years ago, 15 years ago, didn't even have. So take advantage of that. Let me pull up paper here. We can just kind of go through this and all the different aspects of building a marketing budget. So, of course, a website. How much does that cost? And how dependent is your business on a website? Is your business and the website the same thing? That might happen if you're selling online. But if you just need an internet presence, expect to spend about $200 as a startup business with the domain name and maybe doing a little bit of custom coding. And this is assuming that you are getting maybe a packaged website solution that already has a secure socket layer and already has server security and all that stuff built into it. And so this is a good starting point. And if you want to maybe do a lot more custom coding, it might be closer to $500. Again, use those resources I talked about with Fiverr and Upwork. A pay-per-click advertising campaign, paid search. Okay. Well, your role is tying this into your search engine optimization. So you're paying for SEO, but you're paying also for people to get your ads out there. And so paid search should be similar. It should build on the similar keywords. And you don't need a lot. Just pick the ones that your tribe follows. And usually, this is just a suggestion, but I would recommend budgeting about $100 a month when you're starting up. And you might have a bigger budget at first and then tail that down depending on how the visibility on the organic search your website is, but at least allocate for that. What about SEO? Because it's free, but it's not free. It takes time and it takes money in some ways. If you already have a website, an audit, you could probably get an audit done for about, there's a lot of people out there on Upwork, about $150. But you can also, there's a lot of websites like WooCommerce and Shopify and Squarespace have plugins. Weebly, they all have plugins where you probably around $5 a month, $5 to $10 a month. It can not only do parts of the audit, but it can also maintain. It can look for missing header tags and adding bookmarks and breadcrumbs and all the different things that are necessary on the technical side to get your website up on organic search. But I would say at the minimum, you're probably looking at a startup cost of that. And then this is just the technical side. But if you're going to be doing content, so content marketing, if you're not doing it yourself and you want to pay a staff member, maybe they're already on the payroll and you trust them, you think they're a good writer, go ahead and do that. But if you have to hire someone, probably looking at between $100 to $200 a month if you're going to have a handful of articles, both on-site and a push to get some of them off-site. So you might want to budget for that as well. Of course, like I said, plugins and all those things, that could add up. There's additional ones and e-commerce plugins and forms and all those things for digital marketing. And offline, you have your literature, letterhead, and business cards. And it's good. Some people think, well, everything's online, but it does help to have physical touch points that you can give to customers. And so thinking about what, if maybe you ship online, could you include a sticker in with your packages to give a sense of branding? You think about all those things, but plan to spend about $250 to $500 for all those paper and handheld type literature that really does help with marketing. Same things with like direct mail. Typical campaign could, for a limited, very targeted list, would be about $500. And then you have all of your other offline advertising like radio, TV, if you choose and plan to do that. We talked about that earlier in some of the lectures. But at least with web marketing and some basic physical materials, start with this and go from there. Other than that, just a few quick announcements, and then we are done with this class. A couple things. Please, you're going to get an email, and it's going to ask you to do a course evaluation. And so follow that link, and for this course, ENT 404 or 604, I want your feedback. It's anonymous. I don't see the names, but I will see the feedback. And I do this out of my joy. This is not my primary job, so I don't mind if you don't worry about hurting my feelings. If there's ways that we can improve this class, please let me know. If there's things that you really liked about this class and you want to see more of that, let them know as well. So course evaluation. Also, just as a side note, I have updated your, let's go into here. There's a due date for your peer reviews, and that I forgot, that slipped through the crack. That was an earlier due date and I didn't match it with the final exam, so that has now been made to May 10th. So you can now do that and submit it the same time as your final project. Some of the groups have already turned their projects in. Great, I will start working on that. And just be sure to do your group review and your course evaluation. And finally, there is these cases here. I want everyone to at least respond. Okay, respond to these cases, give your thoughts. I'm going to post one last case. Since we're only doing one short lecture video, which is this one this week, I will post one more case. I'll work on that and get it up this week. But other than that, I will leave next week as a time if you need to do and get together with your group, you can. And then just be sure to have your projects turned in by May 10th. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, let me know.